Welcome in. I'm going to wait a moment to see, considering the topic, if folks jump in here rather quickly. Topic is when you're too big for any man. Well, so I love some chat. Whoever's the one person who just arrived on YouTube, I love to. Okay, they left, I think. So this is. I'm just wondering who else. Not only that, I'd like to move through it. It's very present. I've quietly contemplated this topic, and then just like the truth. So, in my world, okay, so I'm speaking for me, and I'm curious to hear, right? I hear something similar for other women. So let's get into it. So, when you're too big for any man, what do I mean? So, this is not this is, please, this is not none of that bashing stuff that's going on out here, okay? Um, this is seriously deep contemplation, seeing who I am at a deep level. And so, first, let's start here. So, I'm going to change the way I'm going to say this because I know that if I say it in raw form, it could hit. I could see how it could hit in a way that that's not my intent. Uh, in my experience with all men that I've interacted with, okay, I'm a very experienced woman. I'm not talking about sexually, although, yes, sexually too. But I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about social interactions. I'm talking about dinner. I'm talking about collaboration in work. I'm talking about marriage. I'm talking about romance. I'm talking about um, just a wide variety of dealing with men in casual, Um, so I think this is going to be a pretty transparent. Listen, I got to go here. Okay. Uh, the kind of relationship, um, I'm at the beginning. Okay, here it is. In my experience, men are the weaker sex. Okay, there it is. Okay, in my experience, men are the weaker sex. Yes, physically, the strength is there. Yes, we know that, right? When it comes to all the other faculties, okay, that are required for creation, they heavily depend on a woman. For most men, their purpose is dependent on a woman. Like, can we just really be honest here? Let's back up off the emotions and all the roles that we've created here on earth. Can we just back up off of and let's really get into the deeper? I like us to have a deeper conversation, deeper awareness here. Y'all gonna talk to me on Facebook? Hi. Can we go deeper here? Okay. A woman can create a whole life and, you know, have a purpose and do these amazing things and grow and everything with no man in the picture, right? And this, please listen, right? Let me speak for myself and many women that I know, okay? And I'm going somewhere with this, okay? This is not about some exclusion of men, okay? Hi, Frost. Hi, Avia. I don't think we've met before. Glad to see you here. Welcome. And so where I am now is I desire to be in a creative relationship with a man without all of the stuff that gets in the way of man and woman actually creating outside of children. I have no interest in giving birth to children. I never have had interest in giving birth to children. I love being an aunt. I love it. That's enough for me. Okay. So I'd love to hear what you ladies have to say about this topic. What's your experience? And I have been contemplating deeply about this, particularly over the last, I say, 90 days, because I can see where I want to mesh with a man who, one, is not dependent on me for his purpose and his, just like all the things that the programming of a lot of men, okay? Just like a lot of the programming in a lot of women, okay? I'm not interested in all the fear-based attachments that we often have in relationships, the continuation of programming that we've gotten from our parents that we want to then slap onto our relationship so we can have our feelings of whatever safety, you know. And so when I say I'm too big for any man, it's like I'm not hooked. My reality, the way I move, my being at my deepest levels, I play at a root level in life. I live at a root level. And so when it comes to engaging with men, it always, hi, I'm gonna read your a gemologist. Hey. Oh, I can't wait to read your comment, Frost. It always feels like society at large, which is people. We always talk about society like it's this big behemoth that's out there. We are society. Okay, right? And oh, sorry, we are society. And whenever I'm interacting with men, it's never spoken, right? When we're interacting with men, it's never spoken, but there's always this feeling of like, don't be too smart. Change your voice to make yourself sound more feminine. Don't let them know how well traveled you are. Don't let them know about your money. Don't be expressive. Don't be who you really don't, right? Because he needs to feel like a man and he needs to feel masculine and he needs to be inspired to protect and give you his money and take care of you. And right. And so it's like when you don't operate within the programming that dramatically abounds. Okay. Okay, I'm going to continue, but I want to read Frost's comment. Frost said, I'm a gemologist. I love that. That inspires such curiosity in me. I'm a gemologist and I'm writing a book on the history of engagement rings and how to choose one if you choose how to choose one if you choose to. So this conversation is very fitting for my research. Oh, how so? Tell me. I'd love to hear how you see it as fitting. Um when I hear men talk about a good woman, a feminine woman, um, what constitutes a good woman, a feminine woman, and this is the average man, like most men, obviously not all men, but most men, if you appear a certain way, which I don't, like I can appear anyway, right? Women are shape shifting all the time to appeal to the male eye. Okay, we're doing that all the time, right? We we want to lose weight and be nice and small and petite. We want to cross things, our legs. We change our voice like this. Hi, how are you? We smile. We put on makeup and we dress nice and we clean and we wear perfume and we're gentle. And we see you see how much of a performance I just did just right here, right? And I don't play in those, like I play for, right. I can do all the things. Like I like it because I actually like it. Never mind what a man likes. I like makeup and dress up and perfume and jewelry and gorgeousness and all and wigs and weaves and braids and glamour and like I love all that. Okay. And uh in actual creation, like when I think about my dreams, the level of being devoid, like real dreams that I haven't even scratched the surface of, like real dreams. Our real dreams, our big ones, when we let ourselves tap into them again, right? Soft, loving, and polished. What is that? What is that referring to, Ava? Soft, loving, and polished. I love your picture. I'm seeing you, Avia, if I'm saying that correctly. I'm seeing you from a distance. I just love what I'm seeing. Okay, you look polished from what I'm seeing from right here, and I love it. Um, like real power, like outside of uh performative femininity to make a man feel like a man, right? Um, right, because there's all the things that we right, soft, relaxed, presence, patience, listening. There's all those things, but there's also very much beast in there. Like when we talk about a whole woman, we're talking about a complete woman. Now, if I want to live a fraction of myself, okay, that, right? But, and that's what most women are living, to be with what people are calling a masculine man, from what I can see, right? As soon as a woman starts to get down into her sacral self, as soon as a woman starts to get down into her shadow, as soon as a woman starts to look at all the things that she currently, I was listening to a creator, you may have heard of her, Six the Goddess, gorgeous woman on YouTube. And she was talking about this fake modesty so many women have, when really underneath the modesty is insecurity, right? These women who stay home, who, they cover themselves up. They don't get much male attention, but let them start getting it and see how things change. Let them start actually really liking their body. Watch them start really, when they start feeling safe in the world, and how that modesty will shift. This is what I mean. Like my experience has, I've always felt too big for men. And all of my past relationships, when I started to really get to know myself in my marriage, it was like I knew something was there, but I hadn't touched her yet. You guys feel that within yourselves? Where there's something deeper in you, but you haven't touched it yet. You haven't gotten intimate with it yet. You don't express it yet. And so as I began to mature and start to get to know myself and to do forbidden things, to explore myself, to start to do dangerous things, to explore, who am I? Why do I run from this? Why am I scared of this? Why do I judge her for that? Why am I avoiding this? Why do I keep running from this? Why am I in this pattern? Why does this anger me so much? And I started to really get honest with myself. Like, why? Like women, he be like, she got her stuff all out. Look at her. She got. I mean, I know women in my life who I care and love, and I know they do that because they don't like their bodies. They're very insecure about their body. That's why they goggle over other women and be like, she needs to cover up. She, Well, you know damn well if you had a body like, I don't know, some hot chick, girl, you be finding some cute dresses, even if they were just for your husband, and walking your sex dripping ass around the house. So I'm talking about this because it helps me to talk, okay, out loud. And this next phase for my life, because I can see where I'm ready for that communion that happens with a man who's not hooked into, who's just very wrong. A man who's just very wrong, who's just, meaning he doesn't fit all the good man. Oh, he's such a good man. Oh, he's such a good man. Like when people talking, all this talking, like what's really underneath? You know what I mean? People talking like real power. When you start, I don't care about labels and like I might use it for purpose, but it's like I'm not hooked into. Gosh, like even talking about it, it feels starting to feel kind of lame. So Avia said, thanks. I've been married for 22 years. The first 10 years of my marriage, my most dominant characteristic were my masculine energy. The last 12 years, I transformed and started operating from my feminine energy, and then my marriage became blissful. Okay, very good. Um, and all of us are different. I don't know what blissful means to you. I don't know what masculine means to you. I don't know what feminine means to you. Like, I don't know. Um, But I know for myself, right? And women like me, okay? Because I'd be curious to hear. I hear these things where when I became feminine, then we got along. What does that mean exactly? Right? And your wildest dreams, or even not even your wildest. And here I am reducing things now because it seems like nobody actually believes in their wildest dreams. Very few people have really big dreams that are far beyond their current reality that they're actually working for toward. Very few people seem to actually be doing that. So I just wonder, you know, the man or even men that I will be with, that like really be with, not like I get into a frame or a character so we get along. You know what I mean? But where he can really like, it's important to me that he develops in the relationship too. It's really important to me that he is truly not normal. You know what I'm saying? Because the creation for us to create is going to be so unlike our current realities. And I'm not talking about material shit. On the level I am, because material is a representative of what you're creating, right? Um, but I often just feel misunderstood and unheard when I speak because most people are normal. Most people just want a nice house, a nice marriage, or maybe two, three houses. They want a nice marriage. They want nice kids. They want nice things. They want to go on some trips. They want to cuddle and do date night. And all that is great, nice, lovely. I think it's great. It's nice, normal things. That's nice, right? You get to do these wonderful things, pick nice drapes for your living room and garden and, make sure everything is well landscaped and all great. I love those things. I've had those things. I think they're wonderful. I think they help bring a soothing, bonding, loving kind of thing. And that's great. I think that's absolutely great. And I mean that. Okay. And that's not enough for me. So you got to know who you are. So that's why I mean women who are like me, which most women are not. Okay. We are not the same. We are not all the same. Okay. So hey Frost, I recently saw a podcast clip that stated that it is not normal for an alpha male to be with one woman. Do you agree? I think whatever is true for that person is true for that person. This is what I mean about, I think most of us are so inundated with what our fathers and grandfathers taught us. We're inundated with what some male podcasters are saying. We're inundated with the YouTube creators are saying. We're inundated with, oh God, I'm 40 and my mom has told me I'll never have a man and I don't have any children. And oh God, I got to go prove them wrong so I don't end up alone, dead, and miserable. Most of us are not choosing from our core. We're not choosing from deeper realms. Most of us, because we don't know ourselves enough to even operate from deeper realms. We're operating from conditioning, programming. We create anyway to feel safe. And I find if you whatever version you, and I get it, I truly do get it. I truly do get it. And I'm talking to a specific woman who seems to be a sliver of society, seems to be a very small fraction of society. Um, we can do so much more, have so much more, um, and getting with a normal man who just wants a wife to, gives him a feeling, and I don't know. And he gives me a feeling, and we, do the things that normal couples do. Great, good, right? And we all have shadows. We all have beasts within us. We all have, well, I don't say all, but some of us have really massive desires. Massive. Um, thanks, Frost. We have massive desires. And, I've been doing like really deep, deep, I go like deep, deep, deep in the mind. I go into the recesses of things. I question everything. I challenge everything. I'm deeply curious. I want to know why even if I have a thought that seems to be true, And I'm convinced around, why am I convinced about this? Why do I think this is true? What's going on? It's a sensation that I'll have. I'll be in the kitchen cooking and I'll have a sensation of, what is this? And I'll question what I was doing before that. If I see somebody and there's either an aversion or an attraction or I want to interrogate it. I want to talk. I want to get into. I distill my dreams. I go into my dreams. I look at why this thing that I've been wanting for a long time. Why am I moving slowly toward it? Why do I move fast? Why have I done nothing? And I get into the thought of the thought, and I do things that are dangerous. I do things that most people would tell you not to do. I do things that people tell you are forbidden. It's not a good idea. It's bad. It's inappropriate. It's no, no, no. And when you go, that's the thing about darkness. See, as a woman, man and woman, getting to know yourself means you go into yourself truly deeply, not in thought, not sitting and thinking and meditating and contemplating. But if you notice that this thing, year after year, even if you deny it, you deny it, you deny it, it keeps calling you, you need to go meet it. If something tempts you, tempts you, tempts you, tempts you, but and it actually feels like get right. If there's something that angers you, if there's something you run from, if you notice you stay inside this comfort and then defend the hell out of this comfort, although you have a neurotic sort of restlessness that you're not, see what I mean? Like this level of, and the beast that's in you, it's either gonna drag you or you gonna is gonna drive, right? And you refine your beast. You refine your beast. This is part of how you purify your heart. Yeah. Most people are not, yeah. So, and this is what has been difficult for me. This is what has been difficult for me and women like me, is that so few of us either are like this or talk about it, that like finding who do you converse with, right? Part of me is doing this for me, and part of me is doing this for other women who are quietly coming into themselves, because that's what most of us are doing. We're spread out all over the globe. We're hiding behind our marriages. I've been guilty of that. Thank you for the heart. um, and each of us, oftentimes we defend our reality and we protect our reality because it's how we maintain sanity. You know what I mean? It's like, of course, I'm not gonna be like, oh, my reality is sucks. It's no, I don't, I'm not fulfilled, but it's enough. Like nobody's gonna say, I mean, people will say that, but most people are like, this is it. This is the way. Well, yeah, it is for you, you know? So anybody here resonating with this at all? Or is this, am I just intriguing to you? That's what I get from men. You're intriguing. So the invitation, the quiet invitation is always like, manipulate me. That's the quiet invitation I get from men. Manipulate me. Be, you know, these things that make me like you. It's all unspoken. It's all unspoken. It's all unspoken. I'm not hooked deep into programming like that. I'm just, and most people are, with all their knowledge, if it's not embodied, all you have is regurgitated information. Information you can regurgitate, that I can regurgitate, that everybody else can regurgitate, and regurgitate it with great conviction. So it is difficult. It's very difficult being me. It has been. And this whole really connecting with men without the confines of programming and conditioning. That's what my heart is intending now, you know, or like true honesty is there. Our true beasts can be in the relationship, where we can actually explore, where he's not throwing programming at me about and I'm not throwing programming at him, where he can have big emotions. I talked to a guy maybe like 2 weeks ago. His emotions were huge. Um, and you could tell, well, I could tell that this is a man who does well in business, like a lot of men do. They do well in business, they make a lot of money, but they're not met in their deep selves. This man is actually the most abnormal man I've ever met, and I actually like him. Um, and so that's a thing. But I realized talking with him, like wow. And there was a kind of a stableness that came out of me being in the presence of him and his big emotions. And he got calm. It was just like it was real good. And like I could see where like my desire for two people to their beast to be out where we're not trying to perform roles or like yeah, I like things like opening the door. I like those kind of things, right? Like things that show care, little things that like little big things, you know what I mean? And it's like if the mind is too hooked into roles, the creative power that we need won't be there. Because that's what I can really care about. I care about the connection that allows us to create supernatural things. And if we're so busy trying to maintain a role, what's up, Frost? See you coming and going. I think I could be wrong. But if we're so busy trying to be right in a role versus, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, this talking about it is too much now. So I'll say this and then I'll go. Visibility. This shit is deeper than my words. This is deeper than my words. Every time I come talk, I'm like, it is not coming out the way it's actually going on the inside. It is not coming out the way it's actually going on the inside. It feels very much, you know what I mean? Hey, Ronald. Um, Visibility 2023. The link is with the video. About 5:30 this morning. So mm, I'm very sensitive. I'm very sensitive, like many of us are. And I can turn it off like many of us do. We numb ourselves because it hurts to be sensitive. It hurts to feel deeply. It hurts to feel deeply, to feel other people's pain, to be able to intuit, to just be out at a restaurant or at Target or at the gas station and you in line or you minding your business and you see somebody and all you got to do is just like look at them for 10 seconds and you know exactly how they're feeling, right? And if they're feeling pain, all of a sudden you start feeling pain, right? Especially when you don't know how to cover yourself and steward your emotions and be in control of your emotions. It hurts. And I choose to remain sensitive so I can create in life. I choose to remain sensitive versus numbing myself with food, numbing myself with drugs and alcohol, numbing myself with social media, numbing myself with porn, numbing myself with gossip, numbing myself with work, numbing myself with shopping and shopping and shopping and shopping and shopping and shopping and shopping on Amazon, numbing myself with sex, numbing myself with busyness. Okay, I choose to remain sensitive so I can create. And also so that when stuff comes through, I can actually interact with it energetically versus constantly pushing things away and creating another reality to keep myself locked inside of a frame and going in cycles. Okay. And this is actually how a lot of women, the power that a lot of women are, but we lock it down because we need to be chosen. We need to be chosen. And if we know too much, if we see too much, if we intuit too much, if we experience too much, and it actually starts to move through our body, because this is when you're sensitive and you're actually tuned in. Modesty. mm, mm. See, because it's one thing to be modest and you can let your beast out when need be. It's another thing when you're modest as an aversion to all of who you are. You see what I mean? It's sort of like Jordan Peterson. I think he's famous enough for you guys to know who I'm talking about. The psychologist out of Canada, right? The psychologist out of Canada who said, who used the quote, "The meek shall inherit the earth," and how so many people have interpreted that to mean that if you're docile and harmless, that God is going to bless you with the bounty of the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth. And he referenced, I can't remember who he referenced, but he referenced a group of fighters or warriors of some kind who were beat, they became monsters that learned how to tame it. And the way he talked about it, Dr. Jordan Peterson, is having swords, knowing how to use the swords, willing to use the swords, but you choose to keep them sheathed. And when and if the time comes, you will kill a motherfucker. Okay? So I like to compare that to the way women, we keep ourselves bound. Otherwise, men won't give us their money. They won't protect us. They won't like us. We won't be chosen. Okay. Because if you are energetically large, if you are very experienced with the world, if you can see and intuit on the spot, because you're sensitive to that and you allow that versus keeping yourself small and I don't know, what do you think? Yeah, well, you're really smart, so I trust your judgment. And like, if that's true, good, say that, right? But a lot of us, we lie because we want to make sure he feels okay. Being sensitive in this way is what will allow us to actually create beyond think we want or that we're trained to want. And, you know, a loft, a nice loft in the city, a nice house in the suburbs. Make sure you get in some cars, nice car, girl. Make sure you look cute, girl. Make sure you look cute. Girl, get that body together, girl. Get that face beat, girl. Okay. Make sure you have whatever the things is that's supposed to make a man and a woman happy and fulfilled, which actually is enough for most men and women. Okay. And also keeping in mind, most men and women don't know who they are. So if you're comparing yourself to everybody, you need to understand most people don't know who they. You comparing yourself to another woman who don't, right, who's going along with what their parents taught them, actually have deeply contemplated if they want the same thing. Okay. So as a sensitive being, me as a sensitive being, and operating from a root level. And there's more that words don't even give credence to here, so I won't even try to get into it. I just expect that those who are of the fabric know it when they see it. When you see your kind, you know it. Yes or no? When you see your kind, you know it, right? Oh, like game recognized game, right? When you see your kind, you know it. So I just expect that when the people who are of my kind, when they see me, they'll know. Like certain shit, I don't even have to say. They just know it when they see it. Okay. 5:30 this morning, my heart was hurting. I'd like to say this too, please, for whoever. I could die of a hurt heart. I could. I could die of a hurt heart. That's what my experience was this morning, around 5:30, 5:45. Uh, I'm being quietly asked, quietly asked to open up. And the confines of normal relationships won't cut it. And so, uh, all the rules that govern, all the rules, they're not doing it. Energetically, I can already feel it's not working. And it's like, oh, even as I'm talking right now, I just feel like in my vagina. So I like to speak to the women who quietly watch this video. It's real. We are just too big for most men. We're too big for most women. Shit. And here's the thing: women pretend to be small. See, a woman will look at you and see herself in you, but because she's unwilling to come into the power and get intimate with her beast and actually swell open her whole being, she'll bitch that only because she's unwilling to become large, right? So because of that, and because listen, let's douse this with some empathy. It's hard. Okay? It's hard. You know, getting a man is easy. We know what they want. You just read them and you can tell. Like, first of all, if he like you, he like you, right? And then after that, you just reading them. You just reading them to see what he likes. And you start giving him what he like. That's easy. Like if that's all you want, if he got the things that you want, like financially, smell, you know what I'm saying? You can coexist with him well, you know? Welcome in. All this stuff is very easy. It is very easy. What satiates you? What satiates you, right? And you are not alone and crazy to be like, what's going like you wonder like you start having to interrogate yourself after a while and you realize you know when you start hearing the same thing you're intriguing, meaning they don't you're like you're more like a like an art on the wall. You're intriguing. You know what I mean? He doesn't actually see you as someone he can go to sleep with. I mean, like in a relaxed way. I'm not talking about sex. I mean, like really coexist with, you know? Um, or yeah, you different. You know, how many of us ever, oh, you different. You know, translation. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. Right? And get into real life and talk to real men. Get out these comments on YouTube because everybody got a persona on YouTube, right? Get offline and go talk to men in real world. You know, um, I'm meandering clearly. Oh my god, I've been here 40 minutes meandering. YouTube, anything anybody want to say? Um, I'm not. The evidence has not shown, and let me tell you what I'm referring to as evidence. All the women I've worked with over the last 11 years, okay, my own experience being married. I'm a divorced woman now. I've dated, okay, around the world. I've dated in California. I've dated in Texas. I've dated in France. I've dated in London. Okay. Uh, my experience talking to women, just women, in everyday life, dealing with the women in my family. I'm the oldest of three sisters and a brother. Um, my mom, like watching her experience. She's a married woman now. And watching what she went through prior to marriage, what she went through with my dad and one of my sister's dads. No, dad, because there's two, my dad and then the other dad. Uh, Looking at what it's been like for her being married now, um, and just interacting with women on different socioeconomic classes around the world. Let's just say for the last 15 years. Okay. Uh, the resounding sentiment is that most men, when I say most, I say, let's say 7 out of 10 men, 7 out of 10 are not interested in a fully awakened woman. Okay. Meaning she is activated on body level, heart level, core center level, mind level, and like is really engaged and activated in life, not scared of going out into the world and creating, not looking at herself through his lens, truly working interdependent, not interdependent because she actually doesn't know how to go out and make money. This is what I mean by your warriors who learn how to control it, they will kill you when need be, and they choose to keep it sheathed. To hide behind your marriage because you're actually scared to go out in the world is not an awakened woman. You see what I mean? You don't know how to go out and create money. You don't know how to go out and actually come to know who you really are. What's making you live how you live? What's making you choose how you choose? Because can't trust men? Because I'm scared because women can't do that? Because that's not feminine? Okay, so what if there's a part of me that wants to experience my masculine side? What if there's something in a man that wants to experience his feminine side? Like his emotions, like his tenderness. Are men tender or not? Do they have tender parts or not? Or no, don't start exploring none of that tender shit, nigga, cause you ain't masculine, nigga. If you don't get to know your tender parts, nigga, you better stay hard, nigga. Not interested. So what happens is you end up part of a small group of women. You end up being a small group of women. Thank you, Jermaine. Jermaine just gave me a thumbs down. See, like, be who you are. Like, be who you really are. You're going to be a part of a small group who appears disagreeable to most people. You appear disagreeable to most people. So many women have felt that, right? Like, oh, I didn't get chose. He doesn't like me. What did I do? Like how many times do we have experiences with a male and then we question ourselves to death and then we alter ourselves. We never mind who we are at the core, never mind who we are authentically. Let me modify myself so I appear more agreeable to more men. Anyway, I'm not even interested in that. I'm more so interested in talking about this true experience for women who are awakened from top to bottom. From top to bottom. Have you had forbidden sex? Sex that had you in a character that when you think about it, you're like, I don't do that. I'm not into that. I don't do that. I'm not like that. But somehow you met a guy who you vibed with, and you had a kind of sex that last year you would have never thought you would have. You'd have been like, that ain't me. I don't do that. I ain't into that. No, no, no. And you liked it. That tells you that's how the shadow works. I ain't into that. I don't like that. I'm not that kind of woman, or even a man. I'm not that kind of man. I don't do that. I'm not into that. Nah, I don't do that. Right. And then you meet somebody where the vibe is there for you to do things you've never done before, for you to explore yourselves in ways you never explored before, where you was hella rigid and angry and tight around something, and then you got around somebody where you felt a little loose to do things you never did, and then you do something that just 6 months ago you was like, that ain't me, and you're like, oh shit, and then it makes you think, well, what else have I been saying no to? That is not even a real no. It's a fear-based no. This is what I mean. I've done a lot of those kinds of things over my life. So I'm really at the bottom to recognize that most people create an illusion that their consciousness can withstand and that they feel good about. And even if not good, like they feel their level of safety and security inside of this way of living. And whoever they're with helps them to keep that together. Their wife, their husband, boyfriend, girlfriend helps them to keep that together. And that's why they stay in that. I, that it's okay. I know that's not, and I'm a black woman. So it's like so a white woman who's like this is cute. It's understandable. Yes. you know, Black woman, we're interacting with everybody's psyche all the time. When they see you, they see a black woman. Everybody around the world, when they see you, they see a black woman. So the psychic burden, like everything that they quietly think, unconscious to them about black woman, is coming out in their interaction with you, right? Men, right? You go over to Italy as a single woman who's open to dating and you interact with Italian men, they see a black woman. First of all, before you open a mouth, they think you from Ghana, Nigeria, somewhere in Africa. Okay. And when you open your mouth, they know that you're American. So then all the ideas they have about American black women, that's how they're interacting with you. Right. And so when you are something else, right, you're not the stereotype that they have of Vanquisha or whatever stereotype they have about what an American, and you don't know until you see how he interacts with you, right? It's not even about that. It's about everybody around the world who's interacting with a black woman the way they unconsciously see black women, interacting with an Asian woman the way they unconsciously see an Asian woman, interacting with a white man the way they unconsciously see a white man. Okay. Uh, that too becomes what feels like an energetic burden when you are unlike what's normal. I'm speaking for myself, okay? And women who are like me, it's difficult. Like it's difficult, okay? Um, and so I'm in this place now in the difficulty of it. and like really confronting it, like really being with it versus like, I don't feel like being bothered. uh, because there's most certainly the abnormal men who truly are. I'm so sick of these. I'm really glad about the yeah, I'm glad about that. Uh, yeah, today was more of a selfish topic. I wanted to come on, and when I created this topic, it was less about uh, like tapping in, like what is it for people today? Or going to a client or like going through client notes to come up with today's topic. It was more so about what's present for me. And I've been very disturbed lately, very disturbed by, so let me be mindful here not to let that tilt me too far. Um, just like what's so common and normal today, and with who I am, okay, with who I am. Excuse me. Um, I mean, how I actually think, how I actually move, what's actually going on in the recesses of me. Um, so that guy I was telling you guys about, who I said is abnormal, he said, we were talking about love, and he was like, people don't know love. People think it's about feelings. He was saying he, desires, his earnest desire, that was his language, his earnest desire is to return to his original state, that of one. That's what he said, that of one. And I translated that to mean non-duality. And uh this is bringing me back to the sensitivity piece, which, and a lot of people don't really want to live in their sensitivity, and I totally understand it, because it's hard. It's like to feel and know and to, and I'm really glad in a way that my idealism has been really punched in the throat a lot this year. My idealism has been really punched a lot this year, and on a level, I felt like that was really necessary to like get me on the ground in a way. Um, and then it's like I can see where, how as people age, they abandon their dreams. This is a tempering of passion. It's like as you're aging, right? But I also see in creating something that's truly like beyond your current reality, because the dreams don't go away, that to create, like nobody's going to create an airplane because they're trying under normal rules. Like we get inside of a metal thing, an airplane, in wherever you live, whatever city where the airport is, and that thing takes you over an ocean to another country and drops you there. Like the human mind did that. And like, and all the things that get created that are outside of what was normal at the time. Like that, the energy that creates that, it's not within the confines of, well, the roles here, our roles, it's not within the confines of the conditioning that a lot of us use to create false safety. I was watching a video with Elon Musk the other day, and he was like, humans are too busy like comparing themselves to each other and arguing and trying to be right. That's why so many people are like, they're gonna fucking die off, bitch. If you need to be right and I'm wrong, or you need to be wrong and I'm right, what game are you playing? We're totally distracted. What are you talking about? Who cares? Like, what power is required? What resources? What kind of relationship is required to move this thing forward? for us to have our world-class chateau in France that's 15,000 square feet, where people come to know God, where art is, where a whole like what's required to create that? You think it's sitting in your suburban whatever in your loft in the city? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm not talking bad about that stuff. I'm just saying. I'm saying many things. Um, but there was another point. There's another point. There's another point. The idealism part, and um, that a large part of that is required to even create. Like, how many frustrations did these men interface with in creating the plane? Like, how many failures? Oh, Henry Ford. This is the other thing. Henry Ford, when you're creating something that doesn't exist, believe me, a modest woman ain't creating something that doesn't exist. Okay. That's going to be big, world changing. I mean, like, if it's fake modesty, like if it's real modesty, that's different. Like, I know how to be modest when I choose to be, but it's not as an aversion to my enlightened self. See, I have swords and I choose to keep them sheathed, but I'll kill. Like, if I'm gonna live under my husband, I still know how to make money if I want to. Okay, I'm not scared to go out into the world. Therefore, I hide behind my husband. That's very different. Okay, this is what I mean by in going out and creating the kind of creations I'm talking about. Remember, I'm talking about big things that are currently way that feel way outside of my reality that I'm bringing into form. Okay, so I'm not talking about a house. You know what I mean? I'm talking about cars and just simple shit. See, and that's subjective, right? Because to many people, that ain't simple. That's a big deal. You know what I mean? But to me, that's simple, normal stuff that any, I don't know, thinking, progressive human being does. Okay. I'm talking about true. Anyway, so big stuff, things that feel big to you, large, way outside of what's normal for you, and bringing that into form. Uh, it's going to take someone who can play a different role. Like, if I'm only in this frame, then I only have the powers that's accessible in this frame. So if I'm trying to appease a man and I have to be small to be attractive to him, and I have to keep my voice like this, and always, right? That means the power that could be required to create this thing, I can't be that because he's not going to like me. I'm not going to be attractive to him. All of a sudden, I'm not attractive anymore. Henry Ford, founder of Ford Motor Company, is quoted as saying, you may have heard this. He said, if I would have asked them what they wanted, they would have told me faster horses. If I would have asked them what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So when he created the car, the mode of transportation was horses. And so there was another frequency for him to be on. There was another way to think. There was another, right? For him to then create a car, which was people were not immediately welcome of the car, right? So if I'm a woman, or even for the man is with me, and he thinks that I'm not going to love him anymore, want to be with him anymore if he doesn't exist exclusively in this frame, that means a power he needs to access for us to create this certain, he's not going to be able to access it. And if right, there's like something I'm sensing to do that's way outside of what's our comfort zone is. That's way off from what we've been doing. But if both of us are locked inside of a frame that says, this is your role and this is your role, and anything outside of that, you're not being masculine, feminine, y'all motherfuckers need to die. That energy need to go. That shit is, y'all die. Die, 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 die. Like, when I see racist ass people, I'm like, oh, we just waiting for y'all to die. Y'all still on racism, really? Like, your thinking gotta be so outside of, but see, most people just, anyway, okay. So, woman, fully enlightened, alive woman, like, you can, like, bitch, okay? Like, I speak for myself. I speak for myself because I know too many women, powerful women who hide and who they just gonna be small. Clients, so many clients either split up what they do because they knew, when your man ain't, you know what I mean? I know women, I know one woman who's like, husband is crazy about her. They have a wonderful marriage. They have, I don't know how many kids together? A lot of kids. They have a lot of kids, all that. This woman is giant. 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 This woman is giant. She knows she's giant. She's told me she's giant. She's giant. And she knows her husband will not be okay with her existing out of that frame. She agrees to stay within the frame, which means she's agrees to not come into her power. So in order to have herself feel okay with that, she ends our working relationship. Because if you're working with me, right? And she started to see that more and more in our working relationship, how much she was keeping herself inside of that confine. This is what I mean. It's fake. It's all fake. If I gotta be a fraction of me to be with you, it's fake. It's not even real. We're meant to blossom and be whole and full. And the thing about it is, see, I sound like the crazy, disagreeable one because most people are living inside of the conditioning that they've inherited from society, from their parents. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be, frankly. When I say supposed to be, I mean, the system needs you fucks to cooperate. Okay. That's what it means. So anyway, there's energy shifting required of me to create what's next because I also see what's in the way. I see some of what's in the way. I started contemplating very differently this morning in a way I never had before, and I'm going to be giving more attention to it to come to what's required of me, right? Which is going to be like water anyway. Um, I hope this has been useful for somebody, many somebodies, of the right people. Um, Y'all know we are not a monolith. Black people are not a monolith. Black women are not a monolith. Just because you have ideas in your head about what a dark skinned Black woman is and can do and be and is acceptable doesn't mean I'm that. Doesn't mean I fit that. Okay. Just like the people you see on the street, just like people who look at you. Are you more than the ideas they have about you? Or are you only what they think about you? See? Can I read that out loud? I don't know. Right? You put it there, so I guess I can. I'm 40 and I'm single, and sometimes I want to find my person, but then I digress on that notion. Why? I would like to go into that because you're not the only one. Um, so let me say something to that, Frost. This is what has revered its head to me this morning when I was in bed. Okay. All right, good. Here I go. This is what came to me this morning when I was in bed contemplating this. And I think this is a very useful way for all of you who are quietly asking yourself questions about what's next for you, with how something that seems daunting or right, like this mating thing for me has felt so like fake. It's all felt like a performance. It's not like it's not even real, you know? And like feeling lots of like when it comes to men in general, because they're all conditioned. It's like they're all conditioned. Right? Like who knows who they are? You know what I mean? Who is more than what society tells them to be? Who is more than what they daddy and their granddaddy told them to be? Who actually knows who they are outside of their conditioning? You know what I'm saying? Like who's actually playing in that domain? And it's like I'm at a bar, nice bar, talking to this man. I go out to dinner with this man. Am in line somewhere talking to this man, and, sit down and have a few conversations with this man, that man. And it's like, I start to feel like a mother because then I end up teaching so many of them, which is fine. But who are you too? You know? Where is your like roots? What are you deeply what are you creating outside of your job and just making money? Great, you make money. Good. Like, what are you doing? What's the big dream? Like, is our relationship just going to be you fund me and we have good sex and have a good time together? Maybe. Is that it? I mean, been there, done that. Like, is that your place in my life? See, so this has been like the kind of frustration for me when I'm like, I want more, so much more than your money can give me. Yes, I want your money, and I want so much more than your money can give me. Do you have that capacity? Right? Let me read. Frost said, I understand that I attract, so I'm stepping back to work on me because why am I attracting those kinds? Now that I know self, I see through other people. So, yes, thank you. Let's talk about that, right? So, there is a part of me that does perform with men. I'm very aware of that. I perform, right? Um, I think I'm scary to a lot of people. Like when I'm just like true, completely true, it can be off-putting, especially if I'm just meeting you. We haven't talked, warmed up to anything, because I don't. I'm just true. I'm true. Okay, and so to a lot of men, it's like, well, what is this? Like, you're intriguing. You're different. But oh, that's interesting. That's right. Uh, and so one, the performances are gone. Like I'm done. The performances are gone. Uh, and then also, when I was soft in bed this morning and like really being with this, that swelling happened. Remember, I talked about that swell. That women fear. Like we don't don't get too big. Don't get too big. Don't be too smart. Don't be too educated. Don't make too much money. Don't travel too much. Don't do too much. Right? Like that started to happen. And it was like a subtle. It wasn't like a fat ass like slap whiplash because I wasn't resisting. I was very open and present. It was like when I'm full, when I'm on, when I'm yes, when I'm yes, when I'm yes, when I'm yes. You know what I mean? Let him go. Let him run. If you run, let him run. If he doesn't want, if she appears more feminine and petite and loving and kind, my love is whole. My love is large. Okay. And I actually was always like this. I just shut it down over the years. Yep. I shut it down over the years. Um, this is why I say men, yes, have the physical strength, but in most other ways, they are the weaker species. And I don't mean that as a derogatory. I mean in the real like power ways. In many ways, they're the weaker species, unless oftentimes the right woman is in their life that helps them cultivate in that way, right? Because most men are very much, they don't have a purpose without a woman. They need a woman to give them purpose. Okay, they need the presence of a woman, the strength of a woman, the love of a woman. You know what I mean, the femininity of a woman, the eroticism, right? Depending on the man, if he's ready for, you know, that's what I mean. Like if a man really want top tier power, top, like top, he wants an erotic woman, and that's typically the abnormal man. You know, that's why that thing that went viral that billionaires are for black women. They meant developed black women, first of all. But that went viral. That was like a trendy, they played with it at a very superficial level. Billionaires are for black women. It was talked about in most circles in a very superficial way. Billionaires are for black women. See that? And it was more like a taunt at black men. And nah, what wasn't spoken, what was underneath that. See, when you are at billionaire level, you're no longer concerned with Like when you're on the climb, you still need your colleagues. You need to get along with people. You still relying on resources like vendors and relationships with people who are judging you. And you walk in a room with a black woman, for a lot of white men, you are not going to get the same kind of credence, right? But when you get to billionaire level, you don't give a fuck. You abnormal now. Okay. When you get to billionaire, you're abnormal. So that's why you see these white billionaire men, they go and marry abnormal black women. Okay. I mean, that's what wasn't spoken in that whole billionaires are for black women thing. Okay. There's a largeness. There's a like that true thing that is almost like they never want to, it's never captured and really spoken about in a clean, true way. Hey Frost, let me go back here. Frost said all dates in yeah, I'm done with that. I know, girl, thank you. It's great to, you know. Frost said all dates end up in coaching sessions and I don't get compensated monetary wise, so my energy ends up being depleted. I'm a Libra, so my scale needs to be somewhat balanced. Girl, all your dates end up with you coaching. So I said we always end up teaching. Literally, I had a conversation with a man, well, last week, yeah. And because I'm always talking to men. This is what I mean. My evidence is real world shit. This ain't reading a bunch of comments and listening to a bunch of podcasts. This is dealing with men in the real world, like I said, being divorced, interacting with men. So we ended up on the phone, and he was like, wow, your voice is so much energy in your voice, such positive energy. He was like, I was sitting here watching the news. I was sitting here watching the news, and then I'm on the phone with you, and it's like, ooh, it's just like this energy, right? And I'll tell him, listen, I know you're going to do what you want to do, but stop watching the news. You seem like a great guy. Don't watch the news. It's not feeding you. Da, 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 da. So then we end up talking, and then for a while, I'm realizing he is totally feeding right now. That's all he's doing is feeding. He is feeding right now. He's feeding. He would like ask me this and da, da, da. And we planned a date. We planned a date. And he texts me and says, he draws a conclusion, right? Well, obviously, I'm not the best man for you, I think he said. Something. Obviously, I'm not the best man for you. Um, but I found so much insight talking with you. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I respect your time. I like the way you respect your time. It was a very pleasant text. It was very pleasant. It was a long text, you know. But the point of what I'm saying here is about, yeah. So anyway, that's the past, right? Because this morning really it's like it put down an anchor for what's to happen next. Because there's been a part of me that's very much like, oh God, I don't feel like dealing with men. Oh God, they're all scared and insecure. And I gotta be small to be with them. And oh God, I don't want to be bothered. There's been like that energy. And now it's like, okay, that's true for the men that is true for. And now, like, here I am. Like, let's go. Okay. Frost said, I'm glad. Good. Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that. So this is like me laying down. Like I said, it helps for me to speak like this, but specifically on camera. And hopefully it's been useful to Frost, so I'm glad. Thank you. Good. Frost, I'm glad. To give voice to this for those of us who are, I'm truly abnormal. I don't say that to try to feel special and different, or because of watched a bunch of YouTube videos on being chosen and read a bunch of spirituality books on ancient Egypt and prehistoric. girl, who are you? Okay, sir, who are you? Like, I actually am, like, the things that, and I don't, anyway. So I've been meandering. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Frost. Thank you. I've been meandering. Visibility 2023 for transformational disruptors who, um, you ready to come out. You ready to come out. But I'm also, anyway, there's a lot more I could say. So I have decided that, actually, you know what? Considering what happened this morning and like the movement of things that's happening under the radar right now, I'm not gonna make any announcements. Okay, when will the next live be? I'm unsure. That's the thing. I'm because I was happy this morning when I was eating. I was like, so, but it's time for, yeah. There's a shakedown happening right now energetically in my world. Well, a lot of people's world, but I'm talking about in my world. Um, yeah, get on the list. Yeah, I think okay, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad you're on the list, Frost. Have we met before? Anyway, so it's time for a community of women who are actually like this, not folks who are just interested or intrigued or but women who are really, like Frost said, you end up being the teacher, right? And like what I know I've done many times is because I know men like to feel like they're teaching us, and they can when they actually are teaching us. Um, but I've oftentimes pretended like he was teaching me, and a lot of women do this. He says something, instead of being like, "Oh yeah, uh-huh," or not acknowledging it, so he feels like the teacher, or um, saying, "Oh, I knew that." You'd be like, "Really? Wow." So he can feel like he's teaching you something because men want to feel like they are the God in your life. So many of them, not all, right? They want to feel like they're the God in your life and they're the superior and you're the. We ain't creating planes if that's the constructs we got to live in. And the plane is the metaphor for creating something that's vastly outside of our reality. See, because when you truly do have them dreams inside of you, they don't die. They don't die. And I got some big shit in me that I've been like really mad that I haven't been moving toward them because I've been, no. We soul friends. There you go. Soul friends. Oh, girl, I think that might be the name of it. Soul friends. Come on. Girl, fucking with these earthly folks. Look, come on. Let's play Earth's game, people. Let's play Earth's games, the games that Earth has to offer. And then we douse it with that large enlightened power. Enlightenment is painful, by the way. Enlightenment ain't flowers and white dresses and meditation in the lotus position. Enlightenment is beast and light. Ooh, honey, okay? I don't know what pussy you been in. What kind of pussy you been in? That fake modest pussy? Yeah, of course you think how you think. You only been inside that fake modest pussy. See, get around a dude who, yeah. I see your laughs. I'm assuming that's Frost. Girl, listen. I need shapeshifters, true shapeshifters. These niggas who want to be, you too good. You too good. You too good. I need you to be dirty, wrong, bad. You know what I'm saying? I need you to really be able to. Otherwise, I'm gonna end up in the suburbs with a nice guy going nowhere. But eating meals while he off, I don't know. I'm cooking something and we play this role and but we look good to everybody. Oh wow, look at you, so wonderful. It looks good. We got nice things. We have all the material things. My closet is large and fabulous. I can walk into my closet and sit down and meditate because it's well coordinated and we've invested to get a professional closet company to give me a gorgeous closet. I got all the shoes I could ever want. We travel 4 times a year. We have good sex, and we sort of like rinse and repeat that every year. And I just support him and his goals and his vision. And yeah, that's our life. By the way, I think that's a wonderful thing. I know I just did that in sort of like satirical way, but I actually think that's a wonderful thing when that actually fulfills both people involved. Okay? I think that's a wonderful thing when it truly, deeply fulfills both parties involved. Okay? But let's say you a ghetto girl, right? You was born and raised in the hood, but you've always wanted a 20,000 square foot chateau in France. Okay, like always wanted it. Always. It has never died. It's just been dormant in you, right? You want to learn how to speak French. You want all and like truly deeply, like you have revisited this time and time and time again over the years. So it's not like some up and pie in the sky fantasy, but it's something that you really desire or something else. Fill in the blank, whatever your desire is. That feels so far outside of what's normal, what's your reality, what's your world. How you think you're gonna have that? See, there's a shifting, and this is where I said being like water. When I say real power is soft, and it's like water, it's not just like thinking and strategizing and putting together a plan. It's really like I was in the bed this morning, soft, and just noticing what, and it happens when you actually are confronting the thing, confronting the disruption, confronting the frustration, and like really being open to what's true versus what some of us do. I know is true where we ask a question, maybe we're in prayer, or we'll just start contemplating something, asking a question, and what we really want is we think we're ready for change, radical change. We think we're ready for something big. We think we're ready to do something extraordinary and big and something that's truly outside of our comfort zone. And we start asking God and however you do your asking and contemplating to create manifest, right? And what we really want, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously, we don't realize we're doing this. What we really want is for the answer to come in a way that helps us stay inside of our current frame, inside of our current reality. That's what we really want. If we pray or we intending something, we think we want something, and then something comes into our world that would totally shake our world for the better, but it feels like it's nah, right? We'll reject it. This is what I mean by you got to be with abnormal people. You got to be with people who've done lots of forbidden things in their life through their whole life, not just when you're in your 20s. Because everybody doing stupid shit in their 20s. That's kind of like it's expected, right? Everybody doing stupid shit in their 20s, okay? I need you to be 40, 50, 60 years old, still doing forbidden ass shit. Because, listen, I'll be 44 in March. I'm in Aries, by the way. I'll be 44 in March. Sorry for that noise. It sounds like they're like have a tree in the garbage disposal. Um, it's important to me to be agile and um, be able to shapeshift, be able to activate an energy that I've never activated before when I'm 50. Now, how about this morning? Like that's me activating, getting into a whole new energy because instead of me being open only to what fits inside of my current frame, thank you, Frost. Instead of me only being open to something that allows me to stay here, I'm actually open, right? Because they're right, different degrees of open, right? Open to something that's going to have me right shift into like that. I have a very particular large dream that just will not quit. I have a large dream in particular that will not quit. And I can feel the multitudes of me that's required. I can feel like the level of confrontation, the level of softness, the level of like, ah, like, ah, ugh, ah, like I can feel, you know what I mean? And like, it's so important for me to live in a world where actually all of this gets to be lived. You know what I mean? And when it comes to like this mating thing, the resentment has been like everything that I've said, and it was me. Like I was the one who was creating that, you know, um, with my own like subtle performances, and right, and like now it's like, and where this will take me. First of all, the freedom is what matters anyway. Okay, um, I gotta like be out. I gotta like, because it's been like such a like. Your dragons, if you don't like really stand as the dragon, then the dragons come. They eat you up. You feel me, Frost? Is that why you giving me the hearts and the laughs? They eat you up. I've sometimes thought that I would end up with a white man. Um, there's a black men and white men. They both have their own toxic psyches. All humans have toxicity in our psyches. Be clear. Okay, this is not specific. We all have toxicity in our psyches. It's just what exists in our psyches. Okay, and a lot of the like residual trauma in the psyche of a lot of black men is like out of their mouth, particularly the ones who feel like they are kings and powerful, they'll say, "This is my earth. You know, I'm the original man." Um, you know, uh, they'll have this idea of a bunch of wives and just really being these big, powerful beings. Um, and yet, when it comes time to actual life, uh, the insecure. Anyway, the existing inside of a frame, only looking at. So the race part doesn't matter at the end of the. In many ways, it doesn't matter. When we start getting down into um, um, so this is a nuanced conversation. I feel like another video because what time is it? I want to go eat. I have a cycling class at 12 o'clock. Okay. So, in a way, this is superficial. All right. Um, there's a burden in the Black psyche that prohibits the kind of power that I would really like to see us in. There's a burden in the Black psyche. There's a lot of fear of, for example, if I truly believe at an unconscious level that this earth is mine, if I truly believe at an unconscious level that I'm a king and not like this, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Uh, it's gonna show in the way I live. Okay, um, it's gonna show in how I actually move and think, and how I actually where I actually spend my time, who's actually in my life, how I actually move. It's gonna show. We don't have to talk about it. We don't have to guess. We don't have to wonder. It's gonna show, right? And there's a certain kind of burden that does not exist in the white psyche. that makes me say that sometimes I thought I would end up with a white man. Uh, you'll hear this a lot of times if you talk to black women who date out, okay? Uh, that there's a recurring theme of experiences, generally speaking. Obviously, this is generally speaking, this is not all. There was a recurring theme of experiences when we date black men. There's a it's right. We can I'll talk about that with like, and then there's a recurring theme, oftentimes, of what it's like dating out. Okay, there's a recurring theme that is outward evidence of what's going on deeper in the psyche. Okay, so as within, so without. Okay, so I'm not. It's important for us to look at why. Like, why is it like that? Why is it that you put together 100 random women in the United States? Shit, the way what I'm conversations I'm having, shit, London too. Um, but you can gather 100 random American black women and put them up on a panel and ask them what's their experience, and it'll be. We could put money on the fact that there's going to be a recurring theme of what it's been like for them dating black men, and similarly, we would find that there would be a recurring theme of what it's been like for them dating non Black men, particularly white men. And the underneath of that, instead of just looking at it being like, because they like that and they like that, looking at the why, the underneath of it, I'm telling you, there is a burden in the Black psyche that does not exist in the white psyche that has Black men behave and live the way they do. So this is why, you've seen black women throw shots at black men because everybody is a king. It's like that's the whole thing. Kings, they just call themselves king. Where's your kingdom, right? And you hear black women say, "Well, where's your kingdom, Kang?" Right? We've seen that, right? Where's your kingdom, Kang? And the reason why we don't see kingdoms, right? Um, and listen, we're in 2022. A lot can be done. A lot, even before 2022. We've had the internet. A lot can be done, and a lot is being done. Um, a lot of what's burdening and has having this slow growth, slow. I know a lot of people want to talk about, oh, we didn't have a head start, we're behind, etc. In the world of spirituality where folks are aware of the unconscious and you see women doing extraordinary shit, okay, you see women doing crazy extraordinary shit, okay, um we'll say, well, men can too, right? Well, you'll hear, well, they can do, and be like, well, yeah, and folks will point to the household, well, she came from the same kind of household, right? And it's like, so the arguments that go back and forth, right? What is constantly failed to be mentioned is what's going on in the psyche, right? So the whole "I'm a king" and all of that is really to help bolster themselves so they can feel like something. Oftentimes, generally speaking, come on, I'm saying generally, not all, obviously, but it's more so a means to kind of bolster. And so the lens that I'm really looking. That was me elaborating. The lens that I'm really looking at this through is the kind of fluidity that's required to create. I'm looking at all of this about what it takes, the power that's required to bring forth big dreams. That's all I'm looking at here. Well, I'm looking at many things, but I'm talking about those other things to make a point about the power, about if I got to be just like this, if your idea of a black woman is like this, and so therefore I need to behave like this, think like this, move like this, so that you get to feel like whatever you need to feel like, then that is going to obstruct the power that we access, the creativity, the conversations that we have, the depth of the conversations, and really hitting a spot, because you can hit spots in conversations with people who are of the frequency, who have a fluidity of consciousness at deep psychological levels to even go there. If I'm locked inside of a frame because I got a lot of burdens hidden from me, psychological unconscious burdens hidden from me, when I'm in a conversation, if I'm a man and I'm in a conversation with a woman, there's only a kind of conversation I can have. So that means, like a lot of the men that like Frost talks about, that I'm talking about, so many men question, would you date outside of your race? I would date outside of my race. Uh, when we're on these dates, right, or we're meeting men in real life, when we're out meeting men, and one conversation can pure clarify so much, right? You start to be the teacher. You start to realize, and then when it becomes a pattern, you start to see, and this it has nothing to do with money. It could be a man with money. It could be a man from, who's born in a good, raised in a good family with two parents. It could be a southern dude. It could be a northern dude. It could be a dude from, you know what I mean? Um, there's a theme, and the theme is a reflection of what's going on in the psyche. We need to be looking at this psyche stuff. It's not just looking at what is and then blaming it and making it bad and wrong. It's looking at why. Why is it like that? It's because the burden's in the psyche. And a lot of Black women who are either married to white men or dating white men on a regular basis, they will tell you that there's a kind of normalcy of manhood in the white world that doesn't exist in the Black world. Like the things that Black women's no, things that are normal that Black women got to fight for. And like I saw a Black woman who's I can't remember her name, but she's a married Black woman. She has her natural hairs and locks that's like curled. She's with what's they you guys call an alpha male. She's a coach on femininity, and she's successful on YouTube. She has a coaching business. She teaches women's all women, but she talks a lot to Black women around femininity and how to connect with and marry alpha males. And she did a post up on Facebook. She did a video talking about this. She did a post up on Facebook where she said, Black men having your own house and car and job is not a high standard. And apparently a bunch of Black men came onto her post saying, she said that's not a too much of a high standard. That's not too much to ask for. Having your own house, your own car, and your own job, source of income. And she said way too many Black men came on her to her post saying that is too high of a standard. Can you believe that? Right? This is what I'm talking about. If you line up 100 random Black women from around the United States, there will be a recurring theme of their experience dating most Black men. And that if you line up 100 Black women who date outside their race, particularly white men, there will be a theme. Of course, you'll have the ones that'll say, well, men are men and it is not about race and problems are problems. But we're talking about the majority. If you take like 7 out of 10 Black women who are dating white men and 7 out of 10 Black women who are dating Black men exclusively, there'll be a recurring theme. And that theme is a reflection of what's going on in the psyche. And when you go over to the white world, it's just certain things that's normal. And they're more accepting of powerful Black women. They don't see it as masculine. And so that's part of why I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if I ended up with a white guy, because if I decline white men for the most part, admittedly. I have declined white men. They pursue affluent white men are the men who they offer me great dates. They want to do things. They compliment me. Okay. And they're just like open to it. You know what I mean? They're just like, you know what I mean? But with Black men is I'm masculine. I'm too much. I'm too educated, too much, I'm too I'm too experienced, I'm too much of it. It's like, don't be too smart, don't have too much money, don't be too traveled, don't be too educated, don't be too, and that's what I mean. That burden that's in the psyche that has helped have folks playing small, and why I said so many men, their purpose is definitely dependent on a woman. You take you take away that woman, and if they have kids, take away that woman and their kids, they're not very. Now, that's not a problem. I'm just saying, don't make it a problem for me. Okay. Don't say I'm masculine and I'm because I'm of what you laughing at, Frost? What you laughing at? Right. That's what she said. That's basically just being an adult. Yeah. And when she did the video and she opened the video by saying, Okay, I'm probably not gonna seem very feminine right now. I'm probably gonna be coming off in my masculine. Like that's how she started her video because she was so frustrated. She was like, I cannot believe the number of black. She said, too many black men came on my post saying that having your own house, car, and money, job is too much to ask for. And this is a woman who, like on her YouTube channel, she has tons of praise from black men. She's met have seen her and her husband together. They, appear to vibe well. She's coaching women on femininity and like all the things, right? And it's like, y'all, this is what y'all say y'all want. She's petite. She has a nice voice. She has locks. She's black. She's 30. Well, she was when I watched that video, right? And she's like, all the, you know what I mean? All the things that they say that they want. That's too much to ask for. Anyway, it's not about that. It's about what's going on in the psyche and like what power is required to create something outside of a nice house in the suburbs, car, children, and a couple vacations. What power is required to create, you really have your big dreams? That's all I'm getting at right now. That's all I'm getting at here. What power? I don't even care. Like at a fundamental level, I don't care about the race. I care about what's required to bring forth the big dreams. You see how people are so lost in these conversations about race and black men versus white men and feminine versus masculine. And folks is going in loops and circles on podcasts and lame, boring. We could talk forever about that. What's required? Who am I to be? Who am I to be? Who am I to mate with? Who am I to mate with to bring forth these dreams? You know, like what is my heart doing? What is my heart? What is my heart doing? What is my heart doing? Like Frost said, all adults should know how to cook, etc. And that's why I'm single. Other people's ceilings might be my floor. Oh God, yeah. So, see, Frost, this is the change. This is the change right now, where really showing who you are. Like where we're headed now, all of the ideas people have in the frames that they keep them in, that's going to be their prison. That's going to be their block, their wall. Now it's like show people who you are. Show people who you are. Show people who you are. All of the things that's like if you're feminine, you don't do that. Fuck that. I'm about to do all. If it look masculine to you and it turn you off, fine. You ain't the one. I can't. And I'm not anymore. I'm done. I'm, all your ideas that I'm this and you're. That's why we ain't. We can't. If I agree to that, I'm gonna stay in resentment, not moving toward the dream. The connection is not gonna be there. Like the connection is with like, come on, beast to beast, beast to beast, beast to beast, beast to beast, like that, you know. And everybody has different goals and dreams. Like some people, that's all they want is a nice little normal life. That's fine. I think that's absolutely wonderful if that's truly what has you fulfilled. The issue is when it's not fulfilled, but you defend it like hell because that's what you're willing to do. That's all you will. You defending that because that's what you live, and there's more. Right? And when you get called, you call. Don't argue with people. Don't argue with people. Nobody has to agree with you. And I have just part of me has really wasted. I say the last what is it? Yeah, because there's a lot more I could have been doing. Um, but in 2017, in a big way, at a fundamental way, I quit because there was a power. I wonder if anybody else. And I actually thought about doing a live on this. There was a power that I needed to access, but I didn't know how. I was scared, big time scared, big time scared. And there was nobody around me who was like really playing in power, like real power, like real, like, you know what I mean? Um, and so at the peak of my career, I quit. And I've still been running the business making money, but I haven't really been playing at the levels that I know are there. I haven't. And it's like to play at those levels, the roles that we give ourselves to create a world that our consciousness can withstand, it ain't gonna work. It's just not gonna work. My go-to line is "You're right." The argument usually fizzles out. Yeah, let them be right. They don't have to agree. Let them be right. So yeah, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go eat. Frost, thanks for being my I feel like you've been my sidekick today. YouTube has been very quiet. Folks have been in and out. Um, yeah. All right. I will be back more though. I don't know in what capacity. I don't want to announce that I'm going to be back here at certain times all the time because I'm unsure still. One thing I feel fairly confident about is that there is a membership family, a soul family, you say a soul friends or soul something, for big women. I started a mastermind. Oh, I tried to, tried to years ago, like 2012, I think it was. It was called Big Energy Women. Yes, big energy. See what I mean? I've always been like this. I just dialed it back, like so many women do. It was called Big Energy Women. And it was all about women of big energy really learning how to steward it, right? Like being willing and able and ready to kill, make money, whatever, but you choose to keep it like this, right? And you will when and if you choose to, right? So really having the power and wielding it when it's time to, wielding it to create, to live whatever life that you choose. And in closing, I like to reiterate this. Yeah, time to bring that big energy back. Hell yeah. Um, in closing, I like to say this. We don't have to agree. Not all men are the same. Not all women are the same. We are not the same. Evidently, if you're online, you see the variety of lifestyles and opinions. Okay. There are tribes you've never heard of, lifestyles you never heard of. You start traveling and going to foreign countries, you start to realize your little ass world you live in. You start going to villages in Europe, in Africa, South America. Uh, uh, you realize your little life. You start to realize how limiting you have lived your life. There are lifestyles you've never seen. There are ways of being in relationship that you haven't seen. Uh, we're different. And oftentimes we just need some kind of permission. We need to see that somebody's living something that's so different to be like, damn, look. Or seeing something that we resonate with to be like, it can happen where you felt like it was only you who felt that way. It can happen. Oh my God, people do live like this, right? But they doing it across the Atlantic Ocean in some obscure village that's not on the map, you know? And I, Naima Singletary, am so abnormal for real. It's not a trauma response. It's not because I need to be different. It's not because I read some spiritual stuff and now I'm a chosen one, and chosen ones are so tortured, and you know all the stories that we create to sort of quantify our existence, validate our existence. No. My awareness of myself has come from me as an right now as a 43-year-old woman, and since I started doing transformational work when I was about 23ish. Okay. Going into relationships that were dangerous on purpose with great consciousness to see who I was inside of them. Doing wrong things, following intuitions that the intuition said yes, but something was like doing wrong, bad things to experience myself, to see where this block, doing this thing that doesn't feel good. Why am I blocked? Like I said earlier in the video, like, why am I blocked? Why do I think this? Why do I fight this? Why do I need to make her wrong? Why do I need to, why am I gripping onto him? Why do I feel the need to defend this so hard? Why am I scared? Why am I hungry for this? Why do I desire this? How does this make, like, and actually going into experiences, not reading, not talking, telling people, philosophizing. And what I find going into emotionally charged experiences for myself is I realize how much of my identity is a lie, how much of my identity I have crafted and lived in to help me be okay with my existence, to help me make sense of my existence, to help me validate my existence, or creating a result. And I created this result. So now I got to make peace with it. So I create my own illusion to make me feel at peace with these results that I've produced in my life, or um, I felt bad about this, therefore I lived like this. And I realized that wasn't real. I just did that so that I didn't feel this bad thing. You see, like when you start living like that for years, you start to realize not only how you live inside of conditioning and lies, you can see how other people, you have compassion for other people doing it because you recognize why people do what they do. You see when people are doing it. So then when it comes time for you to mate with somebody, like they really need to be open to getting to the bottom of themselves. Otherwise, they're going to gradually force you inside of limited constructs that limit you guys' power, where you eventually become bored of each other. Somebody's going to cheat, somebody's going to want to leave, the passion is no longer going to be there, and all you're going to be in is in a routine that you may or may not feel like you need to justify and defend because no one's gonna say, "Well, I don't really like it here. I'm just here because I actually can't afford to live on my own." No, most people are not gonna say that, at least not out loud. I actually don't know how to go out and make money and come to know who I am. I'm actually scared of the world. So I stay here and hide behind my husband and tell everybody else that this is what femininity looks like. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever, like whatever the story is. Um, I am abnormal, truly, in the deepest sense, and it has taken a lot of me, like, being slapped upside the face in different scenarios, but the same, to realize, Naima, stop, just stop. Okay, stop. This is really you. You cannot like force yourself into normalcy with normal people. Just stop, let it be, approve of it, and then dealing with the pain of that you know uh yeah, so that's a thing, and there are many women like me, for the record. I'm not an anomaly. um uh, there are many women like me. We're just oftentimes quiet, we are scattered, we are pretending to be small. I can't tell you how many women are hiding behind their husbands. This is why I keep saying this. I did it. I hid behind my husband. Okay. It was convenient. He paid for everything. He loved me. I loved him. Yes. And listen, that is one hell of a convenient way to hide from your power and yourself. You don't have to work. You know what I'm saying? He loves you. Y'all live good. Like, what logical person, you see what I mean? And so when you become restless, right? And so a lot of women live that forever. Fine, that's whatever, right? If she can withstand that, right? Because if your consciousness can a lot of people would do more if their consciousness could withstand it. They would do more harm, they would do more evil if their consciousness could withstand it. But they don't do it because their consciousness can't withstand it. So if she can stay in that frame and her consciousness can, like, the pain is tolerable. Because I stayed and the pain became intolerable. Literally, I would be at home, middle of the day while he was at work. I'd be on the kitchen floor crying. I'm living good. We got all the things, cars, real estate, right? So my consciousness could not withstand that. There was another power. And this is what I mean by when it's truly natural for you, you won't be able to rest. This is how we start to distill who actually is versus who have infused themselves with ideology and dogma and rely on systems to help them stay tight in their world. Listen, fine, if that works for you. I just want to make it clear who I am and who I'm talking to. For the women who like, I've had women like DM me and like delete the DM and like do this war because they really feel I'm going crazy. Who am I? Ah! Mad at themselves for feeling certain things, for seeing and knowing things. So I say this so you know you're not crazy. Like this is a thing. This is a real thing. Okay. And like nobody's the the dominant society that we live in is not going to encourage this. They're gonna tell you you're that's that feminist shit. Bitch, take that shit over there to them white girls. Okay? Black women is dealing with the result of having to do shit. Yeah, I feel like punching the fuck out of motherfuckers who keep talking about feminism, bitch. How many black women you know really around here really genuinely feel like they don't need a man? Or is it that they felt they haven't been able to depend on one? Okay? No. So in one breath, we're the original woman and we're the mothers of the earth, but in another breath, we're these weak feminists. We're under men. Yeah. Make up your mind. Make up your mind. Am I only allowed to be this powerful, sovereign, elevated being when it serves you? And then when you need to feel like a king, then I need to be small and make up your mind. This is what I mean. The psyche shit that's just Carl Jung said, we are the origin of all coming evil. You are Satan. Okay? Talking about Satan. I'm out of here. Frost, again, thank you.